Hi, I'm Ashley Adamson, and we're going to talk about patience today and the power of patience and what you can really benefit from and gain from acting out of patience and how to even get there, because patience is probably one of those simple ideas that are just really hard to execute on. So, if you've ever been in situations or you're in a situation right now where you're waiting on things like whether it's healthcare or like this next promotion that you're trying to get, or maybe just like something big that's on the horizon that you're not at yet, this is kind of a talk about working through some of your own inner turmoil and conflict to get there. So that way we can ensure you more happiness through this process and you can feel better and more in a thriving state and less in a frustrated state, which is going to affect your quality of decisions and the quality of life that you live. So if that's something that you want to improve on and you want to grow with, that's what we're going to talk about today. So I've been going through a lot of patience exercises recently. I'm a go-getter. I'm a doer. I like to do a lot and move towards my goals. And when I'm making progress, that's great. But when I'm not making progress, I don't feel so good. And when I'm making no progress, that's when I really start to feel almost like depressed and kind of like I can't do anything. Kind of like I start to have this inner dialogue of beating myself up. I don't know if you get that kind of thing going, but like you said you were going to do something and then you didn't follow through on it, and you're supposed to do it, but you just don't feel like doing it, and you're going to try to do it, but then you kind of fall back on doing that. Like I feel like I have that all the time. I'm going to make a video today. No, I really don't feel like doing it. Okay, well, I'll make a video tomorrow. No, I really don't feel like making it today. And it just kind of goes on and on and on. Like that's the kind of thing that we're talking about today. And I've been through this larger process of patience as I got COVID and I haven't had the energy to do things. So this is something that has kind of become a big focus of mine over the past 3 months. So yeah, I wanted to share with you some of the really like amazing values in being patient and waiting, and how you can use this to enter a being state rather than a doing state, so that you can embrace the moment, be more present, and really look and reframe your situation in a way that's empowering rather than disempowering. That inner narrative that you may have where you're like, well, if this thing just happened, then I'd be fine, and it's not happening, so I'm now frustrated. Like, do you ever say that to yourself? Do you ever feel those kinds of feelings? So, yeah, let me kind of pull apart some of the learnings that I've really been practicing lately. So maybe the first one is the idea that this is a journey that you go through when you're waiting for something to happen, when you're supposed to be patient, when you're waiting for that person to get back to you, when you're waiting for the paperwork to be finished. That thing that you don't necessarily have control over is there. It's kind of dangling over your head and you just can't get to it. And you don't have full autonomy or control over that timeline. That's the kind of thing where patience really, really, really comes into the limelight, right? Because your quality of patience is going to affect the quality of your mindset as you go through time to eventually get to that payoff or that thing that you want to get to. And so like the journey that I've been through, and I've been on this on multiple fronts, whether it's for my transition, which I haven't completed bottom surgery yet, or if it's for like this legal tax paperwork that I'm dealing with, or if it's for like the fact that I want to start working on new initiatives and working on new business ideas or investments, that kind of stuff. So I've been like going through all of these different things, and the journey through this process has been something like this, where you initially start the project or thing that kicks off the timeline where you have an end goal. So that's kind of like, all right, now there's this thing, but then somewhere in that initiation, you realize that you don't have control over when the event is going to occur. So for me, I'm dealing with paperwork to do with the fact that this tech company that I work at has gone public, which is great. but like I can't control the paperwork timing of when I get all of the information back for my taxes, because my taxes are complicated. Since I used to live in Berlin, the company went public, but I was also working in the United States, and now I have like multiple jurisdictions to deal with that. So like that has been something that has been in the tax accountant's hands, and also the people within the company that are able to provide this kind of documentation. And it's been very slow, and my taxes are like back, like they're delayed by a year, and I'm like, oh my god, it's accruing all of these costs, and it's like hurting, and I can't do anything. And so there's kind of like this sense of like, oh my god, I don't have the ability to take action on this, which leads to frustration. And that frustration can lead to expression of that frustration. So then you start to take out that frustration on other parties or anyone in that process. And if you're going through like healthcare process, you may be expressing this towards the people that you have to deal with from a healthcare perspective. And this is where it starts to get really gnarly, because when you start to express your negative energy as you are getting frustrated by the fact that it's not getting done, or you're not able to close whatever you're trying to close, you're going to make other people frustrated, and that's going to make it even more of a grind and more difficult. And I think there's a really important aspect in your brain to be thinking about here, because as you start to express more frustration within your body and your emotional complex, you start to build neural connections in your brain that start to associate that emotion with that activity, which then makes the activity of pushing the thing forward more stressful, even more frustrating, and you're just reconditioning yourself to see this as a frustrating experience. So then you start losing sleep over it, then you like start to get really stressed about it, and maybe it drains you and makes it harder for you to actually get the thing done or push it forward in the right way, because it takes more energy than it used to, because of all the associations that you've had with it. And I've had this experience, and the breakthrough that I had was, well, what if this is really just like reframing it? What if the thing that you're frustrated with or trying to be patient with, what if this is a good thing? What if like this is just a sign of a blessing, and that you can find the positive light out of this experience, and that you can treat the process as just a process to get to that thing. But what a blessing to be able to deal with this, whatever you're dealing with. Like in my case, taxes, surgery, and like other paperwork related things. Like the fact that I have a scheduled date, the fact that I have shares in a company that has gone public, like these are great things. Like let's not lose sight of the thing that you're working towards. Like you're working towards something that you want, and what a blessing to be able to make progress towards that. And like, what if you just approached this process of getting to that end destination with curiosity, with a little bit of enthusiasm, and just know that this is just a part of the process, reframing it as just like, oh, I just have to do this. That's how it works. It's not something that should be done better or they're doing worse. Just you have to do it. It's a part of that. And I found that shift of mindset changes the energy with everyone that you're interacting around you, and it makes it a lot less stressful, so you can manage and deal with it. Now, of course, you don't have control over timelines, and your frustration around the timeline and lack of control is just something that you're going to have to be willing to say it's not under my control. You can come up to here, but then someone else has to fill out the rest. And that like admission and acceptance is really going to help you treat this thing with a lot more positivity, and it's going to make it a much more enlightening experience, and it won't burden you with this experience that you're going through as you're feeling it. So you can actually spend your energy that you've saved up on other things, which is great, right? Because if I'm spending all my energy working on this paperwork stuff, then I don't have energy to make videos. I don't have energy to do my job well. But if I treat this paperwork and stuff with the right energy, it doesn't take a lot from me, and I can make videos, talk to you, I can do my work, I can design my software, and like everything can be good, right? So that's kind of like a big big journey, and also some of the learnings that I've learned from that. And the last one, which is probably kind of like, this is the final stage of like developing and working through my patience, is that you evolve as a person, because you go through that process, that hero's journey of dealing with this project or thing you're trying to move along. And then at the end, suddenly you find peace with the thing that you're doing. And now you can just take in the world. You can take in the moment and enjoy it for what it is. My transition earlier, and I don't know if you're transitioning or if you're transgender or not, but transitioning was a big journey. And I kind of wanted to rush to the end and get to where I am now, or even get a little further ahead. But that journey and that process that you go through, maybe you don't want to be in it, but it can be so much more rewarding as you get to that point at the end,